So Lacy's a local, and so at 19, she graduated from Evans Hair School right around the corner. She then went to the Bellagio, where she was a stylist assistant, and then she was recruited away by sorry, this is in Vegas if that's not obvious. Then she went to the Aria Hotel, where she was an extensions specialist. During that time, she made a lot of connections, and at about 2010, she started her own business called Laced Hair Extensions, with a really strong social media following and a great product. This has become a global brand, and it's been seen all over the place, including on The Bachelor, Shark Tank, in various music videos and magazines, including People, Allure, and Cosmopolitan. Lacy currently lives in Salt Lake City with her 2 boys. Please welcome Lacy Gadegaard.
Am I supposed to like walk up and down this? Wander? Sure. Anywhere? Okay. Awesome. Hey everyone, I'm so excited to be here. I have been able to speak at a few college entrepreneur seminars, and it is so fun for me. I always say that I'm a hairstylist by trade and a CEO by accident. So it is really awesome that you guys are here learning so many things that I wish I would have learned 9 years ago when I started my business. So that is like famous last words of every entrepreneur. So as Tyler mentioned, I'm from Cedar City, so I was really excited to come home. I haven't lived here since I was 18 years old, so I do come back, but I love it here. It is home, and it's an awesome place, SUU. I have family that went here. It's like really special to me, so I was really excited and honored to come here and speak. With that, like he mentioned, I went to hair school, and I had already started in high school, college, and for me, I really always loved doing hair. I would do my friends' hair for prom, my own hair, and I experienced like coloring and ruining people's hair before I knew what I was doing. And so I went to hair school, and especially in 2002, going to hair school at the time was kind of a cop-out. A lot of people were like, oh, you're just going to hair school. Like, I thought you wanted to go to law school. What are you doing? And I just believed in it. And I remember the first woman that sat in my chair, and I did her hair, and she cried because she felt so beautiful and so confident. And I was like, oh yeah, I really like this. So I knew that hairstylists can also be very successful. So I went on to work at the Bellagio. I started as an assistant there, meaning, you are they're pretty much the other stylist servant. So I was fetching them coffee and sweeping up hair, and that experience was really great because I learned how to really do hair. Then I was able to go on the floor and be a stylist. I'm going to kind of skip over this one. So in 2003 is when I started doing hair at the Bellagio in a chair as a hairstylist. And I remember a client coming in, and I noticed all these little things in her head, and I knew that they were extensions, but I didn't know anything about them. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I want those. You can see this is me. My hair is really thin, really fine. It always has been. And so I convinced my managers at the Bellagio to let me go and take a training to do extensions. From there, it just was my love. It was my only love at the time doing hair. So I really specialized in doing hair and doing hair extensions. While I was doing extensions, I would have clients flying from all over the world to have me do their hair. Literally, there were clients coming in from Spain, from Brazil, from England, and then also everywhere nationwide. And when the clients come in, they want their hair that day. And a lot of times we had to wait a week for the hair extensions to get to us for me to apply them. So I had the idea, my entrepreneur spirit, that I'm kidding about that. I had no clue how to do anything. But I just said it would be so nice to have my own hair. So I started just ordering samples. Other than that, there were only huge companies that were selling hair, and it was really expensive to buy. and everything. So like I said, I wanted my own. So I started just ordering samples. The samples would come. The colors were bad. The extensions were bad. And I spent all of my extra money and most of my extra time trying to find a manufacturer to make hair for me. And it took about 2 years. And I finally found a really great manufacturer, and I was like almost out of money. And you know, it wasn't a lot of money at the time, but I was also only 23. So anyways, I got the hair in. I also created my own colors. I didn't like any of the colors that were available for me to buy. So I created my own colors, lots of different mixes of colors. And from then I just started doing hair. Like I said, it was for my own use. I started noticing, oh, this actually could be something. I had one baby at the time, and I was pregnant with my second. And while it was a great job at the Bellagio in Aria, they were really long days. So I was on my feet for 10 hours behind a chair, and then the commute ended up being about 12 hours. So I really wanted to, you know, do this so I could that could be like a little side hustle for me. You know, that was my dream, so I could be a stay-at-home mom and just do a little bit of work. Anyways, so that's around 2010. And in 2010, we also, my husband at the time, he was accepted to law school in Michigan. So we moved to Michigan, and I had my second baby. So we kind of had a slow start for those few years. But I was still doing okay. At least the business was paying for itself. I didn't really have a lot of confidence with it. I didn't really know it would do anything. It was kind of to support at the time, you know, my husband while he was in law school. And then this little app some of you may have heard of, it's called Instagram, came out in 2000, and I think it was like 11 that it came out. And so I was one of the first to really grab onto that, because I am the stay-at-home mom, kind of stuck in Michigan in the freezing cold. I didn't know anyone. So I just started posting my work, before and after, and I started using these hashtags like hair extensions and all these things. From there, I also made a lot of connections just from other people that were starting to use this app, like women business owners that were bored and at home too. So I made these awesome connections, and people started asking me, well, I live in New York, but can you come do my hair like that? I don't know anyone that does extensions. So from there, I started flying around. Then I started teaching people how to do extensions as well. We didn't even really have a website. And this time also, there were so many hurdles, you know, supporting someone in law school, having 2 little boys that are 2 years apart. And with all this happening, my business was growing, and I started to realize, okay, this could be something. And so I actually, some of you that know Evans right here, very special to me, but Dirk Evans, the owner, asked me if I would come and talk to his class just about my experience at Bellagio and doing hair for celebrities and all of that. And I came, and everyone that came, they wanted to take a class from me. And so I kind of made up an extension curriculum, and I told them it would be $400, and I hoped maybe 8 would take the class. 30 people took that class, and if you do the math, because I didn't today, sorry, it was a really great day for my new business. So with that money, I was so excited. I was going to take, after the hair costs, all my costs, probably around $13,000 that I ended up profiting from that. It's a really great day, obviously. And I took that money and I sent it to my manufacturer, or I told him, okay, I'm going to place a $13,000 order, which was my biggest order that far. And after I already had sent the money, he sends a message back and said, hey, my email has been hacked. Don't send money to anyone. And I lost all of that money. And it was just like heartbreaking, because we were like poor law students, and I was like, thought I would have to quit the business because I didn't have any more money. So somehow we still ended up selling. I just was like, you know what? I just need to teach more classes. So I just kind of built on that. Instagram started growing. I networked like crazy. I worked for free. I worked all the time. And I just was like determined to not give up with any of this. So On this timeline, it's kind of, there's a million things obviously that happened within it. We ended up moving back to Utah in like 2012. I was selling hair out of my basement, and let me see. You can see what my little ghetto office looked like right here, which I was honestly super proud of, because I had my Mac computer here and I felt really fancy, and people would come. So this was my basement when we moved back to Utah. I lived in Provo, and people would come and buy hair off these hanging racks you can see here. And then the bedroom next door, I would do trainings for hairstylists that were flying to me because they wanted to know how to do extensions. They were still not very popular in 2014. So anyway, so after 2014, I also went through a few changes. I ended up getting divorced. The state of Utah recognizes your partner as 50-50 business owner. So obviously that was another trial I went through because we shared a business together. So my main point of talking about the struggles is that it is so real, and I had so many struggles for 6 years. And during all this time, in this timeline right here, I still was not giving myself a paycheck from Lace Incorporated, is what we are. So I was still supporting my passion and my drive by still doing hair and taking clients. That is how I was making my money. All the money that we made from education sales and hair sales, I was just reinvesting back into the business. And I remember in 2014, our first month, that we made like $25,000 in sales that month. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to really take this serious and treat it as a business. So we kept growing. In 2015 and 2016, I was asked to be the hair supplier for the Victoria's Secret fashion show. In that time, I'll talk about the 2015 Victoria's Secret fashion show though. In the 2015 Victoria's Secret fashion show, I was really sick, and I had crazy headaches, and I didn't know what was going on, but I was still really excited that that's when I kind of felt like I was, things had settled down with like going through all the divorce stuff and growing the business. And that was our first year that we had made over $1 million in sales that entire year. So I was on cloud 9. I was feeling very invincible, really excited. And I get home from the Victoria's Secret fashion show, and our biggest sale of the year, which is Black Friday. I'm sure you all know that, especially if you've done any retail. The biggest sale of the year, Black Friday, it was Thanksgiving weekend, and I woke up and my whole face was paralyzed. And ultimately we found out that I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, which in turn I ended up being, I'm okay, but we found out that it led to multiple sclerosis diagnosis. So, in turn from having that awesome year, something is always going to happen. And my advice when I speak with entrepreneurs is I'm always like, you guys, it honestly is this. You're on cloud nine, and then something happens. And if you don't give up, you can really, really push through and fight through. Let me go back to our little timeline here. So after that diagnosis, I decided, when I found out it was MS and I would live different, but I was going to be okay. That same year, we ended up opening my salon/training center, and then all of this hair we put in the back room. During the opening up of that training center, we were like 4 months into it, and I'm trying to unload the back. I knew that this was not enough space because we were growing. We have grown 100% to 150% year over year, even through those battles. So we now have, this is actually only one aisle. We have 3 aisles like this, but this is now, it's me pretending like I'm the one that ships. But we now have a 3-row of a full warehouse with all of our employees as well. And again, I'm trying to go through this really quickly, but it's really fascinating, even for me to stand up here and watch this, just to know those growths that we grow through. And And something that, I wish I could have told myself too is I have this really awesome friend. Her name is Susan Peterson. She is the CEO and creator of Freshly Picked. She started with those little baby moccasins. We met on that little Instagram app, actually. She noticed before and afterwards that I had posted, and she was like, I want you to do my hair. So I started doing her hair in trade for her baby moccasins for my son. And we've just become really good friends. Definitely, the point of talking about her is to surround yourself with like-minded people, which you obviously are doing today in this group with other entrepreneurs. You never know, just because someone may be an engineer or someone may be in the beauty world, you never know where that connection may lead you. So definitely put yourself out there, go to events, be able to meet people and be willing to talk about what you're going through. It's okay to have failures, because how can you really measure success without ever having a failure? I don't think that anyone can. So, but Susan, back talking about her, she gave me some advice when I was running a one-man show, pretty much. She just said, Lace, you need to do what you do best and hire out the rest. I loved that term. I'm not sure if she quoted it, but we'd just quote her on that in case. She'd love to take credit, trust me. And it really hit me, because there's only so much you can do, and no one cares about your business the way you do, no matter what. No one will ever care about your business the way you do. It is your baby. But having, when you are starting a business and letting go of certain things and certain projects, until you do that, you really can't grow and scale the way you want to. I was really scared to go from my one little studio to a big salon with all of these employees. But if I never would have just made that leap, I was really nervous how I was actually going to be paying them. But we built it, and we kept growing, and we kept growing. And like I said, you just have to keep working. Let me have a quick little sip of my drink. Sorry, guys. And I kind of want to jump back on how I got to put myself out there to do things like the Victoria's Secret fashion show, and do things like how I was able to do celebrity hair. So when I, really quick, I have my own little scrapbook, mainly just screenshots, but these are all our hair extensions, you can see. We have like Ashley Benson, which most of the girls probably know. This is Mariah Carey. This one was she's like my 90s teenage dream. So that was really exciting. So you can see a lot of celebrities wear our extensions. And for me, that's really fun and really exciting. But mainly why I do what I do, it comes back to, I'm gonna scroll back to this little before and after photo. It comes back to this girl that didn't have thick hair, that didn't have full hair. And I really wanted to feel confident. And making women feel confident and really believing in what I do has set me apart from my competition. Competition is obviously a great part about owning a business, because it keeps quality high and it keeps you on your toes. It's not that it's definitely can be annoying, but just to know you may have this great idea that you think so great, and someone comes along and takes your idea and runs with it harder than you do. And even though you had the idea, they had better execution. So there's times that, or maybe they had more money too. There's times that with that has kind of, hurt my business a little bit, just because I had all these challenges. And with Instagram, you can see what's going on with other businesses and other people. And again, that's just a perception. You never really know what's going on with anyone's business. But worry about competition, of course, but also you should be more in competition with yourself. And I have to remind myself every day, like, when I hear another extension company is popping up, or someone copied another one of my colors or something like that, I have to just remind myself that, I try and look at what we did last year and how far we've come, and, compete with yourself more than others. Try and have an employee that can handle your competition. And also, these are just a few things we were in. This year, I was really excited. Like I said, I went to hair school, so I became a CEO by accident. The Goldman Sachs, have you heard, Tyler, of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses? They asked me if I would be a part of their program, which was a huge honor. They have about 30 people a cohort. I suggest you guys keep note of that as you start businesses and grow them. This is a great resource to look into. They definitely taught me a lot about business. It was kind of a mini MBA program that I went through, and I just finished that in November. So it was a really great opportunity. And kind of flashing back to that why, like I said, just creating something that you believe in. It's more my story, I know. Sometimes you may have an idea or run a business that isn't like that. I was really lucky to have something that I really believe in, that I get to be the face of, and that it really changes women's lives. This is showing me during that, I forgot to have the slide, but I'll just talk about it. So like I said, during my diagnosis, before we knew what it was the busiest time of year. And something that I love about this photo is this was one of the worst times of my life, but I was honestly there working because it was Black Friday, as I was attached to my treatments at the Huntsman Cancer Institute. So I just didn't give up ever, and I'm kind of a little bit of a workaholic, which I'm guessing a lot of you are if you are taking an entrepreneur class. With what I went through, we have a Giveback program that we've created called the Laced Hair Foundation. And what we do is women suffering from hair loss, women suffering from hair loss can nominate themselves or a family member or a friend to receive free hair if they're going through something. So although we've had great success this year, we keep growing, we still have trials, but we've had so much success, we've really focused on creating a give back, which I think should be in the, somewhere in your mind with your businesses. It creates great employee culture. It makes them feel really good to be giving back as well. And it definitely helps the community. It helps the community to know that you are doing something to give back as well. I did want to save a little bit of time too for some questions, if anyone has any. Tyler did, maybe I'm throwing him under the bus, but he did say you guys were really quiet. So I'm hoping at least some of you have some questions for me. I'll just keep yapping if not, but yeah.
And when you opened your salon, how did you pick the girls? I don't know if you guys were in there too, but how did you pick your team? Like what qualities did you look for? And if you had to fire people, how did you work through the process? All of that.
Yeah, so I think anyone here that owns a business will say the worst part of owning a business, they're needed, but the worst part of owning a business is having employees. It really can be really hard. I've had to learn a lot. I kind of, my business essentially is two separate parts. It really is, because we have the salon side so people can come in and get their hair done. And then the back of the house side was people sending out hair. And we had kind of a warehouse in the back, but the salon in the front. And having those two businesses didn't really work out, which is why I had to separate and get that bigger warehouse, keep the salon. But to hire my staff, I really just put ads out there, and people came and applied to be a hairstylist. And the actual staff, when they are hairstylists, they do an audition where they show me what they can do, and then we say yay or nay. On the Laced Incorporated side, we have a girl that runs my marketing. I have a freelance CEO specialist. I have a freelance web designer. I also have a personal accountant and bookkeeping. I have a personal assistant. I have an education director that runs my education side as well. And I have a girl that is a social media girl. I have a woman that runs all of our shipping and customer service. And then I also have, she has an assistant as well, and he's our shipping manager. And then I have 7 hairstylists and a salon manager. So I think we have almost, there's 20 people that I'm dealing with on a constant basis between all those now. So, yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Where's your salon?
It's in Sandy, Utah. Yeah.
How has having MS affected how you balance your work and home life, and how has it affected how you manage your day-to-day affairs?
So MS is an interesting little disease. I honestly didn't know much about it. So I spent some time just putting myself out there, going to the Multiple Sclerosis Foundation type events, and I didn't know anything about it. I wanted to learn about it. When at the height of when I'm going through, they call them MS bouts. It's definitely really bad, but I've been lucky to, I've changed my diet completely, and they helped me at the time with medications that are supposed to help slow down some of the effects. And there's definitely times that I have problems with it, but right now it's pretty regulated, which I'm just trying to still work my tail off, because I know there may be a time where I won't be able to work as much. So I just, live one day at a time. You should definitely do what you can with what you have. And that kind of goes back to not worrying about what other people are doing. I didn't have a lot of money to invest. I didn't have a lot of, so I just had to keep doing what you can. And so I've been pretty lucky. I know a lot of people with MS have different symptoms, and knock on wood, like literally I need to. I've had a really good year this year, but I know that it may, so I'm just taking it day by day. I hope that answers that, but thank you. Any other questions, guys? Yeah, back there.
I'm assuming when you initially started, you were selling to the clientele that you're already doing hair for, maybe. So how has the platform changed from selling to people you're directly working with to now selling on a more global, international level? Like, what are you selling? What are the platforms you're selling through? How are you connecting with new customers?
Yeah, so we have a Shopify platform. It's definitely, there's a reason why they're so successful. They're a Canadian company. They run our website completely, and I used to just have people texting me for orders, and we had a janky little website that sometimes worked, sometimes didn't. So when we were able to get our website up, and I started getting these little, it sends a little notification, which is my favorite. It says cha-ching when you get an order, and it actually helps motivate me. And it's I definitely recommend getting a website instantly. I wish I would have gotten one sooner, because it is the way that people can find you. I remember when I created my website, and the first order we got was from Virginia. I'll always remember it was Virginia. And this person didn't know me, but they just found my website. They didn't even know about Instagram, because I remember asking them how they found me. They just said they Googled and found my website and needed hair. So it's definitely helped my business immensely. Our online sales are why we are where we are now. Like I said before, we had a website. We were maybe making like $10,000 a month. Last year, we definitely were a multi-million-dollar company, and this year we are expected to double, maybe even triple last year, on track from Q1. So website is obviously super necessary, and website, Instagram, and Facebook, all those ways to put yourself out there really, really, really do pay off, especially me not knowing anything about SEOs and all the other things. So having a website was what helped us scale for sure. Yeah.
So you're first getting started, because it sounds like you didn't have a lot of business knowledge going into it. Did you just kind of bank on you getting on the job, like, oh, like I have a ton of inventory, maybe I need an inventory manager, you know what I mean? Like, was that the process of you like learning how to actually structure your business? Or did you ever like reach out and like hire like consultants or like people to come talk to you about like, okay, like you need like these people to run? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I never hired a consultant. What really helped me, the Utah is full of entrepreneurs. I think you guys probably know more stats than me. I think we're the #1 entrepreneur state in the nation. So surrounding myself with people like that, I would ask my other friends questions that also had businesses, but I never actually hired someone. The reason I really needed a lot of help is as we were growing, customer service emails needed to be answered, and orders needed to be shipped. And I had 2 little kids at home with me, and I was also trying to still do hair. So initially I hired someone to answer all of those kind of questions for me, emailing, so I wasn't up till 3 in the morning responding to emails, which is what I was doing. So for me, it was kind of backwards because I just didn't have time to do it. But looking back, I'm like, of course I needed to do that a lot sooner. So I know there's so many great resources out there. I mainly learned by trial and error. So especially the first 4 years of my business was lots of error. So, yeah. Yes.
As far as having a product with your business, and you started out as the manufacturing side, did you just Google, where am I going to go, where am I going to look to make this product?
Yeah. I had also, again, this is why connections are important, and you never know. I have a stack of business cards that I actually still have in my basement of people's hair I used to do. And there was a guy who knew how to, his job, he actually lived in Las Vegas, but he came in randomly to get his hair cut. And he said that the reason I was talking to him, he said he knew how to bring products over from China. And the reason I was talking to him about it was at the time I really wanted to make my own product line or something, my own hairspray and all of that. And he was like, here's my card if you ever need help in China. And 3 years later, I was like, do you remember meeting me a long time ago? I have a few questions. And he put me in contact with some manufacturers too. So just those little, maybe I was a hoarder of business cards for sure, but it really paid off, those connections. And sometimes too, just putting yourself out there. I think a lot of times we think we're annoying people, but I promise you, people want to talk to you. A lot of younger entrepreneurs reach out to me and I respond, and instantly they're so excited that I responded to them and almost shocked. And I just think it's putting yourself out there. I maybe annoyed a few people, but I'm okay that I did because I didn't know anything. So I was really open to asking questions. I still failed a lot, but I asked a ton of questions and really just put myself out there to meet a lot of people. But Google, you have to be careful with that in manufacturing because there's a lot of scams. I probably in total have lost over like $18,000 with getting scammed by people I thought were manufacturers. So just be careful if you have any sort of resource that can help you. So.
Maybe one more question.
Yeah.
Is your foundation that you have, is it a nonprofit? And a lot of times financial advisors, when you get to a certain point in your business, they will actually advise you to go ahead and have a foundation due to tax purposes and whatever. Did you find that to be true, or did you just want to do that? How did that work for you?
I actually didn't know anything about nonprofits or foundations. I was inspired to start mine because of what I went through. I lost about 70% of my hair when I was going through all of my treatments, and when you're hanging out there for 8 hours a day in Huntsman's Cancer Institute where I was, a lot of women were suffering hair loss because they're going through chemo, or they're like me with a MS or other diseases, and a lot of them were just losing their hair. And the last thing they wanted to worry about was they wanted to feel beautiful again, but they couldn't afford extensions. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I really need to do something to help these women. I own an extension company. I definitely can. To my knowledge, there are definitely foundations like that for kids, but there aren't for women. And so I didn't have any financial advisor at the time telling me anything. But I definitely, if you find something you want to support, I definitely think when you get to a point, you should do something, some sort of give back. Every entrepreneur class I've ever taken, every business class I've ever taken, Goldman Sachs, they were huge on that. They said to get involved in some sort of give back. And especially because running a business and all the headaches that come and dealing with employees, I get so happy when I see one of those emails come through that is a woman explaining why her mom deserves to get our hair extensions. It makes me feel a lot better, and I'm really happy that we started that, because I feel like I'm like, oh, maybe I can run this business a few more years so I can still keep women feeling confident and beautiful. So, but it is obviously on the flip side, they are tax deductions, but we are a registered nonprofit in Utah. So.
Great, thanks. I just want to thank Lacy again for taking the time, taking a day to come down here and speak to you guys. For me, it was fascinating and unexpectedly touching, the story of her journey in her business. And so with that in mind, we would like to present her with the Cedar Award and thank her for coming to SUU.
Oh, thank you. This is so nice. Thank you. I love this. This is really nice. I'm really excited about this. Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thanks, guys.